Aikido means the way of spiritual harmony. This video was created to explain its concepts and its history, its techniques and its methods of practice, and more than anything else, its essential spirit. The founder of Aikido, Ueshiba Morihei Sensei, traced his personal and spiritual roots back to the Kumano region of Japan, with its great river that runs down to the sea from nearly inaccessible mountain forests. For nearly 1,000 years, Kumano has been a center for spiritual training and prayer, with 3 great Shinto shrines: Kumano Hongu Taisha, Kumano Nachi Taisha, and Kumano Hayatama Taisha. Even today, these shrines continue to attract thousands of pilgrims each year. Aikido may have been born in Kumano, but it has grown and spread beyond the shores of Japan to areas around the world. What you are about to see is also a very personal story, told by Hikitsuchi Michio Sensei. O-sensei passed the essence of his teachings, the soul of Aikido, to Hikitsuchi Sensei and made him a 10th degree black belt, the highest rank possible. Throughout his life, O-sensei made more than 100 pilgrimages to the 3 mountain shrines of Kumano as part of his Aikido practice, a tradition maintained to this day by Hikitsuchi Sensei. As Hikitsuchi Sensei will explain, deep reverence for the divine kami and for the wonders of nature played a major role in O-sensei's creation, practice, and teaching of Aikido. For Hikitsuchi Sensei himself, regular prayer, especially at the Kumano shrines that were so close to O-sensei's heart, has been instrumental in allowing him to absorb O-sensei's teachings in their fullest, purest form. It is Hikitsuchi Sensei's hope that this videotape may serve to inspire all Aikidoists, young and old, veterans and beginners, wherever they might be, by communicating as directly as possible the essence of O-sensei's teachings. Japan has been called the land of the rising sun. If that is so, then one of the first places in Japan to be struck by the dawn's early light must be Kumano, the region at the most southern and eastern extreme of the Kii Peninsula. On this map, the torii gate symbols mark the locations of the 3 shrines of Kumano relative to Shingu City, home of the Kumano Juku Dojo. Here, Hikitsuchi Sensei explains the history, the architecture, the religious symbology, and the significance of the Kumano Hongu Taisha to Mr. Tanaka Koei, a longtime supporter of the Kumano Juku Dojo. The head of the Ueshiba family was Ueshiba Yoroku, the O-sensei's father. He was known for his Herculean strength and was a master of Hito-ryu Jujitsu. Unfortunately, he had no male heir, 3 daughters, but no son. So, Ueshiba Yoroku and his wife traveled from their home in Tanabe to the headwaters of the Kumano River to pray for a son at the great Hongu shrine of Kumuno. That son was Ueshiba Morihei, the founder of Aikido, now referred to respectfully as O-sensei, great teacher. O-sensei often said, "Michio, I'm a son of Kumano." He said that the inspiration to create Aikido, a martial art of harmony, peace, and beauty, came from the gods of Kumano. It's as if the kami took on the human form of O-sensei in order to give us this thing of Aikido, this Budo of purification. Aikido, this thing we call Aikido, is dedicated to Amano Murakumo Kukisama Hara-ryu O no Kami, which is another name for Susanoo no O-kami, the unruly younger brother of the sun goddess enshrined here at the Kumano Hongu shrine. Susanoo no O-kami's job was to cleanse and purify the universe. He was the god of the breath of life. In Japanese legend, he was the one who killed the great snake that lived deep in the mountains. But that's the legend, the myth. But the idea of purifying through breath is still important. It's all key. We must purify what might be called the world of conflict and opposition, the world of fighting and destruction. But purification must start with one's own self. So the purpose of Aikido is firstly, on a small scale, to perfect the individual, and secondly, on a large scale, to bring peace and harmony to the earth. That is why Aikido was created. In any case, I believe that one has to absorb the divine breath, the profound spirit of the gods of Kumano, in order to develop Aikido to the fullest. It is only by becoming one with nature that truly inspired Aikido can be born. As I said before, it's as if the kami took on the human form of O-sensei in order to give us this thing called Aikido, this Budo of purification. For Aikido to become a more important part of building a more peaceful world, it must be spread beyond Japan and widely as possible. The current doshu, Ueshiba Kishomaru, who is O-sensei's son and the head of the Aikido organization today, is central to this effort to spread Aikido throughout the world. But Aikido must not become a mere sport. Aikido is a true Budo, a true martial way. It should not be reduced to a simple game played for amusement. It is essential that O-sensei's original goal be preserved, that Aikido be a way to develop individuals with courage and sincerity. Without sincerity, there is nothing. This is as true in business as it is in international relations. It's okay to make money, but you must be sincere. Sincerity is the most important aspect of human endeavor. Putting profit above all else is unacceptable, whether in foreign trade or inside a single company. Humanity and sincerity must take precedence over all other things. Our efforts in life should lead to happiness and joy for all. This is the goal of Aikido. This is what makes Aikido a Budo of great love. Where there is love, there will be harmony. O-sensei said, love gives birth to harmony. Harmony brings forth joy. Joy is the greatest treasure. This is our motto, and this is our goal as Aikidoists. Let me explain about ki, this thing called life energy. There is ki that pours down from heaven, and there is ki that springs up from the earth. These two, the ki of heaven and the ki of earth, flow into one another, forming the ki of the universe. There is also the individual's ki. Aikido has the power, through its techniques and spirit, to connect and unite all of these sources of ki, thereby bringing them into actuality. This is the path of Aiki. O-sensei passed away on April 26, 1969. Exactly 2 months later, on June 26, 1969, his wife followed him. Both are buried at the Kozonji Temple, situated on a hill overlooking the original hometown of the Ueshiba family, Tanabe, in Wakayama Prefecture. Every month, Hikitsuchi-sensei, his wife, and members of the Kumano Juku Dojo visit this temple to tend O-sensei's grave and pray for the peaceful repose of his soul. After his death, O-sensei's beard was enshrined within the Kumano Juku Dojo, according to his will. Hikitsuchi-sensei leads a solemn festival in his honor on the 26th of every month, to which all visitors are welcome. Regular practice is the foundation of every Aikido dojo, always starting with warm-ups. Here, Hikitsuchi-sensei teaches a class in basic Aikido techniques, practicing the techniques on the knees, so-called suwariwaza. The fundamental movements of the hips can thus be mastered, and such things as the workings of the hands and the relative positioning of partners can be carefully studied. First, twist the hand. Now this time, bring it up. Don't use your strength. Draw it here, not like this, like this. Okay? Try it yourself. Hold it. Pull it to yourself, like this. Do you understand? Hamni Hamdach. We're going to lift up the person without standing up ourselves. All at once. Don't look at his face. When he lifts, as I always say with Irimi, to the left side or to the right side, enter quickly and strongly. That's the center of Aikido, the essence of Aikido. Okay? Like this. You enter. When he lifts his hand, you're moving. Even always, you hold down with your key. When he comes to hit, first protect yourself. Hit your hand to the face. Take your partner down. Take his hand down. Stop. From the bottom. Draw it on the bottom. Thank you very much. This is the grand shrine at Nachi, the second great shrine of Kumano. O-sensei came here to pray many, many times, maybe 100 times in all. Since O-sensei came, and he visited all three shrines at Kumano. Once, he gave a prayer here, and he said he could feel the presence of the kami. He told me he could see a great magical dragon in the waterfall, and in that moment, I saw it too. Whenever O-sensei came to this part of the country, he visited this shrine. He said, if I come here 100 times, I still haven't come here enough. I think this was the place he came more than any place, the place he loved the most. This is the Nachi Waterfall, 150 meters, 450 feet, the tallest waterfall in Japan, like a veil coming down against the great black rocks amidst the forest. I started martial arts at the age of 9. The women in my family were quite strong, but not so the men. My father died when I was 2. My mother died when I was 7. I was raised by my grandmother, my mother's mother. She was a practitioner of naginata, which is a martial art mainly practiced by women that uses a halberd or curved blade at the end of a stick. She said to me, "You have no mother or father, no sisters or brothers. I can't watch you every minute, and I don't want you to become a juvenile delinquent." So she entered me in a kendo school at the age of 9. I had judo at the age of 12, horseback riding at age 13. My grandmother bought me 3 horses, a black, a chestnut, and a bay. At 14, I started Aikido. Later, I studied bayonet fencing, Iai, which is sword drawing, and Shuriken, which is knife throwing. I studied all these various martial arts while I was still young. It is due to this early experience and my long relationship with O-sensei that I am now what I am. I started studying Aikido under O-sensei when I was 16. Later, during the war, I was a martial arts instructor in the army and served overseas. After the end of the war, in 1949, O-sensei came here to make a pilgrimage to the 3 shrines of the Kumuno. He telephoned me from the Koshinoyu Hot Spring Inn in Katsura, nearby from here, about 10 miles south of Shingu. When I picked up the phone, O-sensei said, "Michio-san, it's me. Come on over." I was flabbergasted. We hadn't seen each other in nearly 10 years. I used to ride a motorcycle in those days, so I jumped on my bike and went right over to the inn, where I met O-sensei for the first time in a decade. I had wondered if he hadn't possibly been killed during the war. Even now, I can clearly remember how the telephone receiver shook in my hands when I heard his voice, and how the tears streamed down my face when I saw his face again after a 10 years absence. O-sensei told me that MacArthur's occupation headquarters had issued orders forbidding the practice of all martial arts. But MacArthur had granted special permission to teach Aikido. O-sensei said to me, "Michio-san, build a dojo." But O-sensei continued, "It shouldn't be a dojo to teach the old-style Budo, where the goal was to train to be able to kill with a single blow. The new dojo should be a place to teach a Budo of harmony and love," he said. "It has to be a Budo that draws the world together, as if one family. From here on, we have to spread Aikido around the world. Work with me," he said, "to make this happen." And I said yes. O-sensei and I talked that night until dawn. That's how it happened. That's how I remember it. 1949. 3 years later, we managed to open our first dojo in Shingu. It was a small dojo with only 21 tatami mats. It didn't have glass windows like it has now. It had wooden slats that could be opened to let in the breeze, but prevented people from seeing in. Anyway, we started practicing in that little dojo. The techniques were different from what I had originally learned before the war. I still have books describing the old techniques, but the modern Aikido that we started to practice in 1952 was different. The old, destructive fighting attitude had been replaced by an emphasis on leading and harmony. In any case, in 1959, we enlarged the dojo to 64 mats, and in 1973, we enlarged again to the current size of 106 mats in the main dojo, plus a 30-mat practice space on the second floor. Over the years, almost tens of thousands of students have practiced here, and in the several branch dojos that we have in the Shingu region. The entire population of Shingu City is 37,500 people these days, so it's really an amazing number if you think about it. Thousands of foreigners from all over the world have also come to Shingu to study Aikido. Many have stayed, have simply passed through, but all have learned. I have also traveled overseas to give demonstrations and to teach many times. I want to keep teaching and spreading Aikido until it is practiced throughout the world, just as O-sensei dreamed it would be someday, and how he asked me to make it happen. This is the Hayatama Grand Shrine, the third great shrine of Kumano, located just a few hundred meters from the Kumano Juku Dojo in Shingu City itself. In 1927, O-sensei came to Shingu and held the first Aikido practice in an empty sake warehouse. I was only 14 years old at the time. We practiced in that warehouse so people couldn't look in and see the secrets of Aikido. There was Kubo-sensei, Ozaki Sakujiro, Uemuro Shinjiro, Okamura from neighboring Kinamoto town. All sorts of people, 30 in all. I was the youngest and the smallest at that time. So Aikido has been practiced longer in Shingu than almost any other place in Japan. When O-sensei came to town in 1949, after the war, as I said before, we met in Katsura, and then he wanted to come to pray at the Kumano shrines. This is where we started that pilgrimage. This is where Aikido started. O-sensei often said, Aikido is the living breath of Kumano. Many times he said that. Like all other Budo, Aikido starts with a bow. Here, the senior students of the Kumano Juku Dojo join Hikitsuchi sensei in a demonstration for the purposes of this tape. O-sensei traditionally began practice with this preparatory exercise, led here by Ano Motoki, 8th Dan. In the first stage, make a circle with your hands, left over right with the thumbs lightly touching, placed just below the navel. Close the eyes gently and breathe deeply. Next, extend the left foot forward and begin the rhythmic rowing-like motion seen here. Extend the hands out, making the sound ho, as if to push the earth away. Then draw the hands in, making the sound ai, as if to pull the earth towards you. In the next part, clasp the palms together at right angles, left over right, and place them just below the navel. Shake them up and down as strongly and rapidly as possible, keeping them close to the belly as you do so. Repeat this a total of 3 times, left, right, left. Then, finally, raise the hands in prayer above the head and bring them down sharply with a loud ki to unify oneself in preparation for the start of practice. To sit, first place down the left knee, then the right knee. Put your big toes over each other. Place your hands in the middle of your thighs, not up at the hips, nor down at the knees. In the middle. Don't look down. Look out at the distant horizon. Sit up straight. If I say that another way, push out your belly button, which is a way of saying extend and straighten your backbone. To stand, bring your knees together. Bring your toes up under yourself, then raise first your right knee, followed by your left knee. That's how to sit and how to stand. Okay, let's sit again. Many people put their hands down like this. It's unsightly and clumsy. Don't use your hands to stand up or to sit down. Next, the proper way to bow. Budo starts with a bow and ends with a bow. Make a triangle with your hands and bend over calmly as if to put the tip of your nose into that triangle. That is the proper way to bow. That's proper. Okay? Sit up. The right hand comes up, then the left. The sequence of the hands is not an extreme thing, just a natural sequence of right, then left. That's the correct way to make a proper bow. Now let's walk on your knees. When you walk on your knees, always bring your foot along with your knee. First one knee and the foot goes forward, then the other. Look here. First one, then the other. Always bring the feet up under the body. Okay, everybody try it. Here's ukemi. Spread your legs, bend your knees, reach down with your hand to the space between your feet, then roll up along your wrist, then your arm and your shoulder. This is how we take forward falls in Aikido. There's also rearward ukemi. Again, roll on your shoulder. Don't let your head touch the mat. Roll on your shoulder. As I've shown you, Aikido ukemi is based on the idea of being very round so that you roll right up to your feet. If you do a judo fall like this, there's a chance of damaging your arm, especially on wood or something like that if it's very hard. So if you're taking a fall on wood or on concrete, it's critical that you try to stay as round as possible. Everyone try forward ukemi. Right, left, right, left. Everybody take 2 rolls. Very good. An old-time challenge in Aikido practice would be to roll backwards 5 times in the space of 1 tatami mat. It's difficult to do that, but that's the sort of practice I had to go through. 5 times in 1 mat, zigzagging back and forth. Don't let your head touch. Roll on your shoulder. Never let your head hit the mat. Very dangerous. Tai no henko or tai no henkan. Tenkan means to change. Change your body. For example, he comes forward to grab. Look, this is tai no henkan. Okay? All right? He comes to hit. This is also tai no henkan. Today, let's take a look at tai no henkan when you're grabbed by the hand. Turn and extend your hand when you're grabbed. Not like this, with your rear end sticking out. When you do it like this, he can't hit you. Look, he grabs. All right, like this. If I just turn like this, he can hit me. It's no good. You have to lead him. You have to lead him forward like this. Now he can't hit me. Not like this. Stand up straight. Stand up straight. Everybody try it. Put your key into it. Okay, you all have to pay more attention to your feet, right? Watch this. If I turn like this, he can hit me. He can hit me, it's no good. If I just turn like this, see he can hit me? Do you understand why it doesn't work this way? Because I haven't lifted my heel. You have to raise your back heel. This is what extends your reach. This is what leads him forward and prevents his attack. You have to always lift your heel. Not like this. If this is a dead foot, and this is a dead foot. Must lift your heel. Let's look carefully at the feet this time. Slowly. You step and turn. The right foot is pointing forward. Not like this. If the right foot is looking forward, the left foot has to go forward as well. In Aikido, if one finger goes to the right, your whole body should turn to the right. For example, okay, he's grabbed me, right? The front foot is pointing forward. Both feet have to go forward. It's not good for the rear foot to point backwards. If one foot goes forward, the whole body goes forward, and the hands too. If one foot turns to the left, your whole body should turn to the left. If one foot turns to the right, the whole body goes to the right. Not like this. Not like this. Not like this. Like this. Like this. The workings of the two legs is in the torso. The torso. The workings of the two hands is in the head. The workings of the head are expressed with the hands, both hands. Izanagi and Izanami. The left is yang, the right is yin. The workings of the legs originates in the torso. This is important. The left foot stands on heaven, the right foot stands on earth. This is very important. The outward rokpo stance, the inward rokpo stance, the outward tomoe stance, the inward tomoe stance, these were all different types of on-guard positions in the old Aikijitsu. Soto roppo, uchi roppo, there were all sorts of on-guard positions. But O-sensei eliminated these on-guard stances and taught that a natural stance was best. O-sensei said no kamae, no on-guard. You know, you see students seeing stuff like this. No good. It's nonsense. A natural stance is best. No special posture. A natural, normal posture is best. Don't tense your body into some sort of on-guard, unnatural attitude. If you go on guard, you're thinking about your opponent, and Aiki is not possible. Here, Hikitsuchi Sensei uses his bow and his ki to mystically purify and bring together the myriad forces of the universe, as taught to him directly by Ueshiba O-sensei. What is Aikido? As I said before, Aikido is dedicated to Ama no Murakumo Kuki Samahara Ryu no Okami, which is to say, Aikido is a way of purification. Aikido is a way to cleanse the individual spirit. That's what it means. It means to get to a place in your life where there is no fighting, to make a world where there is no fighting, to work in the sense of great love. We aim to have a heart capable of generous, large love, like the love of God. God gives us the light of the sun, the warmth, the air. All of these are aspects of God's infinite grace. The first step is to purify your own heart and to perfect yourself as an individual. To work so that the whole world is like one family. It's possible through purification at all these levels. This is the start of all Aikido. This is what Ueshiba Morihei O-sensei, the founder of Aikido, taught. This is Suwariwaza Ikkyo, the first teaching, an arm pin technique. You must not wait for your partner to strike in Aikido. Waiting itself is a form of thinking about your opponent, and this must be avoided if Aiki is to be achieved. You must take the initiative in showing your opponent his ski, his vulnerability, and thus teaching him the error of fighting. You must start the technique. Continued training like this helps both practitioners to eliminate their skis and become better people. This technique is called Suwariwaza Katatete Nikkyo. Pin the arm so that it is horizontal to the shoulder and strongly bend the wrist towards the shoulder while holding down the elbow. This is Hanmi Hamdachi Shihonaki. You must never look directly at your partner. As soon as your wrist is grabbed, use your free hand to change the grip and throw him down. This is called Kokyu Nage, the breath throw. This is Yokomen Uchi Sankyo, an upward spiraling wrist twist to be used first to unbalance and then to pin. You must be careful not to be where the opponent comes to get you. That's the key. This is the third teaching, a wrist twist. Please pay attention to what I'm doing. I am initiating the technique. Again, look at what I'm doing. I am initiating the technique. Never wait for the attack. This is Yonkyo, a wrist pin technique. It uses a pressure point on the inner side of the wrist to affect the pin and prevent his further movement. Here again is Ikkyo, which we saw earlier. This is one of the first techniques learned in Aikido and is used to pin the arm. This is called Katate Dori Kokyu Nage, which means literally a breath throw when one hand is grabbed. This is Yonkyo again, the wrist pin. First he does the omote, or outward-facing version, and then the ura, or inward-facing version of the same technique, turning before making the pin. This sort of repetitive, alternating practice is the way to master the fundamental techniques of Aikido. First one goes, and then the other goes. You practice together to perfect your technique. This is the essence of Aikido practice. There is no competition, there is only practice. This is Katatedori Irminage, single-handed grab entering throw. Here's a technique to use when you're grabbed at the shoulders from behind with both hands. Here it's called a kaiten nage, or turning throw. Well, here's an example of freestyle. In Aikido, this technique called kotegaeshi, or wrist reverse, is a widely used throwing technique. Here we're seeing it used against a grab from the rear, but it's also effective against grabs from the front, punches, strikes to the face, and strikes to the side of the head. It's a very versatile technique. Here we have another freestyle sequence, which starts with Shominuchi Irminage. Movements in Aikido are all oblique movements. For example, even when you come to grab, you must approach from the diagonal. If you grab from the front, you'll get hit in the face. If you grab diagonally from the side, though, you can't be hit. The same is true for yokomen, or for strike. You can't come straight in from the front. Watch how I do it. I strike from the diagonal. Do you understand? Not from the front, or it will simply be aiuchi, and both will be hit. You enter obliquely. In Aikido, you must merge your breath with the breath of heaven and earth, and with that ki, that spirit, that breath, strike from the oblique angle. So to repeat, if you simply grab from the front, you simply get hit in the face. Let's look again at yokomen slowly. He comes to strike. All right, if he hits strikely, I move. Look at this movement. Slowly, he strikes. And he strikes shomen. He doesn't hit. He comes to strike straight on. He comes to strike straight on. I hit him, but he doesn't hit me. I let him hit me. And now he strikes again the same way. He doesn't hit me, right? I'm just not there, so I'm not hit. In addition, I can capture his striking arm, pinning it with my ki. This is called training your power to attract. Okay, I'll let him grab my arm. Look, I come in so he can't hit my face. He can't reach me, can he? Now the left hand. Okay, let's examine the most critical parts of this technique. Please watch my hips and my feet very carefully. You can see that I have blocked his elbow with my free hand. If I let go, he can hit me like this. But if I block his elbow, he has no chance to strike, and I can throw him down. There are two variations to this kokyu nage, one-hand grab and two-hand grab. If when you're grabbed by one hand, the technique starts by turning the fingers of the grabbed hand inwards towards yourself. Okay? The fingertips move inward. Do you understand? You can't do it like this by raising your hand upwards. He can easily resist. But if you move in closer, he can resist, but you can get past it. Now, it's a different matter, though, when he grabs you with two hands. Now you can't turn your fingertips inward, no matter how hard you try. So in this case, you lift your hand upwards, as if raising a sword to strike. And in doing so, you take his strength away without any problem. So when he grabs with two hands like this, I raise my hand, enter, and throw. It's no use to try the one-handed grab technique when he's grabbed you with two hands. It just won't work. So, this is the difference between the one- and two-hand grab variations of kokyu nage. When you're grabbed with one hand, you go like this. There are two ways. Okay, this time the shoulder. Two-handed shoulder grab from the rear. First of all, make a circle with your arms. Then step slightly to the side and backwards with your foot and turn. Okay, make the circle. Here we go. Make a circle. Turn. And draw him to you for the throw. Here's another variation. This time step forward. Forward, then turn. Draw him forward and throw. Do you see that I'm stepping forward? What if you both have swords? If you both swing straight ahead, you both are hit. Okay, we'll go slowly. A straight, accurate strike. Again, strike with the breath that unifies heaven and earth. We both swing, but I draw him in. I suck in his energy. We're not on guard. Usually fencing starts with on guard. He can't move his sword. He can't move his sword or raise it for a blow. If he lifts the sword, I enter. He swings it down and I've moved. Let him swing straight down. Look what happens. The point is we're moving together. There's an old saying about a small bird tapping on a stone. Many people practicing with bamboo swords move the sword point up and down or tap them together as a preliminary to a real attack. They wouldn't do this with real swords. Their opponent would be able to gauge their breath and thus their timing if they did so. You shouldn't slap their swords together. Your sword, your attack should be silent. If he comes forward to hit, he is cut. There's no noise of clashing swords. He can't lift up his sword to strike. If he thinks to cut me, he himself will be cut. So in Aikido, we're trying to teach that he shouldn't take up the sword against me. You must take the lead. You must grab your opponent's intentions before he actually moves to attack. Look. Okay, he's going to come strike me. but I enter and he's helpless. Let's turn around so you can see this better. He can't pull back or raise his sword. He's helpless. I've captured him with one finger. He can't stab, he can't strike, he can't draw back. This is attractive power. This is like magnetic attraction. Just like this, one finger. Coming at me with a sword is useless. As I said earlier, if you look at your opponent's eyes, he will steal your heart. If you stare at the point of the sword, it will steal your will or concentration. Never look at your opponent. If he wants to thrust at me, go right ahead. If he wants to strike, go right ahead. He can do whatever he wants. He can't hit me in any case. He can't hit me, he can't strike me, because I'm not looking at the sword. If I look, he will take my key. I never look. I never look. And he'll never touch me. He strikes and I'm not there anymore. He comes to strike and I'm just not there. Because I'm not there, I'm not hit. It's easy. He comes to strike. I'm not hit, but I get there first. If we stand here like this, strike at the heart. Okay, let's go. You see? He's struck and I'm not. Okay. The sword, the staff are inside me. They become part of me. He comes to strike and I help him along. He's stuck. Go ahead, strike. Strike again. Go ahead. Whoop. In August 1957, O-sensei presented to Hikitsuji-sensei this scroll, signifying the innermost teachings of the bow, marking his complete mastery of the long staff. This is called Yaribusema, or a thicket of spears. The ninja of old used to practice escaping from this predicament. In Aikido, you must be able to read the opponent's ki and thus grasp their intention in advance of the actual attack. This involves a speed much greater than the speed of light or electricity. This requires a speed that transcends space and time. The ability to instantaneously sense the flow of a situation and change accordingly. As such, it involves a spiritual transcendence of one's own limited self. O-sensei called this masakatsu, agatsu, katsuhayabi, true victory, self-victory, the speed that transcends time and space. This is the mystery of Aikido, the central teaching. Study it well, practice until you understand this essential principle. When your heart is bright and full of love, the spirit of the kami can enter into you and fill your Aikido with a wonderful, life-giving power. That's what Aikido is about. So he comes. He comes. He thinks about hitting me, and I can tell what he's thinking. If I stand here, he hits me, of course. He thrusts to hit. He thinks to thrust to hit. When he thinks, now I'll get him, at that moment, he's ruined. I can sense his attention. I can sense his ki with my ki. It's not a matter of being fast. It's not that at all. At that instant, with a speed that transcends time and space, I move. He thinks to hit me, and in that instant, he himself is hit. He thinks to kick me, and he himself is struck first. It's not as if he can grab my ki. He can't grab my gi. He can't get hold of me. And now he can't stand up. With the spirit of my heart, I'm pinning him. He's held down, he can't get up. After everything is said and done, you have to train your spirit at the same time as you train your body. We practice the techniques of Aikido to cleanse our body and to cleanse our spirit. Aikido is a practice created to build personal character. In the larger sense, Aikido exists in order to build a world of peace and of harmony. That's what it's about. He thinks to hit me, and instead he himself is hit. Now he's held down. He can't get up. I'm not holding him with my hands. I'm just standing here. Come on out. Like this, and here we go. It's easy. He can't grab. He can't grab me. I'm just walking. He can't strike me. All right, so I let him grab me. I put my foot over his foot. Just this little bit here. Everything depends on the movement of your ki. Cultivate your ki. You have to purify your soul in the crucible of your own practice. Only then will you attain a fine, wonderful spirit. And this is the most central goal of Aikido. This is the most important point.